Only boxing. Boxing only. Uh, I wanted to make this video because I've been, on the YouTube and lately, and I've been on, just boxing media period because that's all I do. So, uh, I've been hearing and listening to predictions and people breaking down the fight, and everyone that's ever listened to me knows my prediction for this fight. They know that I predict Terrence Crawford to stop Errol Spence before the championship rounds. So that's from round one all the way to round. I'm assuming three, really, from anywhere from three to to round 12, really. But I'm saying from round three to round 10, through round 10, is the time that Errol Spence should be getting stopped. um, I don't have any emotional connections to this at all. I don't pick one fighter over the other because I like the fighter. Uh, I don't have a favorite fighter in boxing. I have a lot of fighters that I like. I don't necessarily have a favorite fighter. Um, so I'm not emotionally attached to this. I don't think, oh man, so and so style is so cool. I'm gonna go. No, I just don't. I don't do dumb shit like that. Uh, but anyways, what's interesting is I'm listening to a lot of these guys breakdowns of why a fighter is better than the next, and how coaches speak on each fighter. They speak on the opposing fighter and they speak on their own fighter. The trainers, the coaches, and it's interesting and that you ask the fighters about their opponents, and it's just interesting a lot of the things that these fighters say. Uh, uh, and what's even more interesting to me is what Errol Spence supporters, uh, and he has some really crazy fans, but the Errol Spence super fans and Errol Spence himself, and especially when it comes down to the resume ordeal. So first and foremost, I want to go ahead and give my opinion, just to let you guys know. My opinion on these particular fighters, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, their resumes. My opinion is that it's too the resumes and in welterweight are really too close for it to make a difference. You see what I'm saying? To make a to make a difference on whether one guy will win the fight over the other. You know, it's just. Now here's what I would say. Um, I think it's. I'm not mad at you if you're saying that Errol Spence's resume is better than Terrence Crawford's at welterweight. I'm definitely not mad at you because I agree with you. I agree that it is slightly better than Terrence Crawford's resume, uh, mostly because of Kell Brook and Sean Porter. So it's because of uh, their performances against those fighters. Now, because Errol Spence saw those fighters and experienced those fighters earlier, the earlier versions of those fighters, the common thought is that um, most fighters are, um, excuse me, are at their best at their first big fight. Um, that they're usually better and before they go into the next big fight because they're talking about wear and tear and all that. And there's another interesting point is that um, a fighter's experience and what they learned from that fight. Now, if you lose that fight, does that make you automatically just qualify for the wear and tear tag, or can you qualify for the positive experience tag? Now, if you lose, that's not a positive experience, but you can also gain from those experiences with those top tier fighters. So if Porter went into a fight with Errol Spence and really he only won by a thumbnail, so if he if he the thumbnail, which is the knockdown, so which is glove touch. It's really not. It wasn't even a. He didn't knock him on his ass. His glove touched the canvas, popped right back up. And it's just like, let's go. So it's one of those things. So can it be a positive experience as well, to where make it, you saw this guy, so going into your next fight, does that put a feather in your cap? See, they said that about, I think a lot of people pick and choose, and they say that they say that whether it's a feather in your cap or whether it's you have wear and tear on you, I think they use that to support their narrative. So, and I think that's a lot of folks. But here's one more interesting thing. So, Mr. Crawford, the beatdown that he put on Kell Brook, which he stopped him in the 4th round. It was a referee stoppage. He was stopped on his feet, and he was badly hurt. Didn't even know where he was. It was a pretty bad stoppage. Terrence put a pretty bad beat down on him. Now, before that happened, he was looking all right. I mean, he had Terrence's eye swelling up slightly, and he was landing a consistent jab until, of course, until that happened, till the 4th round, and Terrence landed a counter shot that took him off his axis. Then beat him to stop him in that round after the referee called it a knockdown because the ropes held him up. So then he went, of course he made the action continue, and then he got beat senseless. So yeah, they're saying a lot of fans are discrediting that stoppage because they say that Kell Brook was already broken. Yeah, but and if you say that he was already broken then what was he when Errol Spence saw him? Because he had went up to 160 pounds, and he got the hell beat out of him by Golovkin. So, and he got his eye socket broke, one of his eye sockets. Yes, Errol Spence broke the other one, but still, the common knowledge is that once one eye socket is already broken, it's already easier to break the next. And that, I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying that you got medical professionals that are telling you this. And I only bring that up because that means he was broken. You see what I'm saying? So if he's worried about his eyes being punched or being hurt, I mean, that's going to be in his mind. You know what I'm saying? And he came down. He also had a fat camp to meet Errol Spence's weight class. So he was up at the middleweight division at 160 pounds. He had to shed all that weight, muscle, to get down to 147. And he still looked good. I'll give them that. He still looked good. But he did have to come from all the way up to 160 pounds. He had to shed all that and come back down. Now, you're cutting a lot out. You have to cut out some muscle and all that. So, that's not good for a fighter. But he did it. So, are those enough for us to count him as broken for an Errol Spence fight? So, when he goes to see Terrence Crawford and gets stopped, that the better fighter, he was the better fighter when he fought Errol Spence, is what the argument is. So the the biggest contradiction there is I'm seeing a lot of these YouTubers and a few professionals as well, in boxing, I'm saying, who are saying that that we're actually predicting for Kell Brook to win the fight. And it was crazy. Some of the same people picked Kell Brook to win the fight, and then after that, they're making excuses of why Errol Spence's win is better. I don't see a point for that. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, and maybe it's because of the angle I'm coming from, I don't have any personal emotional ties to these guys that are about to fight. So I call it how I see it. Now, I don't call it how emotions cause me to see it. I call it how I see it, how it makes sense, if it makes sense at all. And this doesn't make sense. So if you say a guy is is in good shape and he can present these problems to Terrence Crawford, and then you even break down the fight and you break it down in Kell Brook's favor, and then he goes into the fight with Terrence Crawford, gets stopped, which will make you wrong. He did not do anything to Terrence Crawford. He did have his eyes swell up a little bit, but in the fourth round he got stopped. So it's just like, okay, I mean, there goes 8 rounds of fight that did not have to go down. So, you know, 8 rounds of non-breaking. You see what I'm saying? Because he didn't have to. We stopped him. So, and then after that, then you have excuses of why that fight was so easy. It doesn't make sense because even before the fight even happened, you said that Kell Brook would beat Terrence Crawford, and you said that here's how he would do it, and that did not happen. So to make excuses of why Kell Brook lost doesn't make any sense because you didn't acknowledge any of those points prior. So to say, oh, this is because he got broke by Errol Spence already. He wasn't the same fighter. How come you didn't mention that before? Because Errol Spence broke his eye socket before he fought Terrence Crawford. So why would you not mention that beforehand as a reason for him to possibly be at a detriment when going into this fight? So basically there's some inconsistencies there. And why would you make excuses for other than the reason that you feel like you like Errol Spence so much and that you're just riding with him, riding for him and all that stuff? That is weird to me. It's just a pick and a fight, man. This fight's gonna happen and it's gonna go away. So to say that you rode with Errol Spence till the wheels fall off, that's not much of an accomplishment. But if your prediction, comes through as solid and the right prediction, then that's where you can get some credit and some esteem. But just simply riding with a guy till the wheels fall off, that's kind of stupid if you ask me. I believe that Mr. Terrence Crawford and Mr. Errol Spence are high caliber fighters. Me personally, I just think that Terrence Crawford is the better prepared fighter, the better equipped fighter, the fighter with the more power, with the better feet, with the better reflexes, with the better speed. I do believe he has better speed, just by a hair. No, a little bit more than hair, but it's really not that big of a difference. I think Errol Spence is fast too, but I think Terrence Crawford has the better speed. I think he thinks better, if you were to ask me. From what I've seen, I think Terrence Crawford thinks a little bit better as far as ring IQ goes. I think he knows where he is at all times in the fight. I don't think he gets shaken up as much if something doesn't go his way. Errol Spence is usually able to get his way for the most part of the fight because of how his style is. I do not see for Terrence Crawford being what's the word I'm looking for? Being susceptible to Errol Spence's tactics, because I think he's beyond that. Now, a lot of you guys are Errol Spence freaks. You guys would say I'm wrong and he's a machine. He comes forward, but then again, I've seen Errol Spence be hurt. This video is for the guys who are Errol Spence crazy. Now, me myself, I like Errol Spence. I think he's a wonderful fighter. That's why this fight is so big. I can't wait to see him fight. I buy every single Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence fight. I buy every single last one of them. There's not one Errol Spence fight that I have not bought. There's not one Errol Spence fight that I had not enjoyed. I buy all his fights. I love this fight with Ugas. Yeah, I see some And another thing, for the Errol Spence freaks, um, um, Terrence Crawford, you guys have to realize Terrence Crawford is not Ugas. You know, he's not anybody that Errol Spence, or like anyone that Errol Spence has ever seen. Now, going the other way, I don't think Spence is really too much like anybody that Crawford has ever seen. He's different too. But at the same time, one's abilities, I believe, is better than the next. So I think Crawford, because of his attributes, because of his speed, his reflexes, and the way he thinks in the ring, I think because of that, he'll be able to figure out and combat anything that comes from Errol Spence. I see Errol Spence, I see he has a lot of gifts. Especially when you put him up against fighters who are not as gifted as Terrence Crawford, we have to be honest with ourselves. Terrence Crawford was undisputed at 140. He was also a 135-pound champion. He came up to the welterweight division, has all stoppages against the competition that he fought, and at least one of those guys fought Manny Pacquiao and beat him. Was able to get a win out of that, and which is Jeff Horn. So, and a lot of people would say Jeff Horn isn't the best fighter. Maybe not the best fighter, but he was able to push Manny Pacquiao to the 12th round and get a decision. And I watched that fight quite a few times, and I wouldn't say that's a robbery. A lot of people, that's a robbery. I saw Jeff Horn push Pacquiao around, bink him, and then, he got hurt in the 9th round by Pacquiao, and I seen him get clipped a few other times in that fight. But overall, he was a extremely sturdy fighter, and he came at Pacquiao, and he made him work, and he bloodied him up. He's pushing him around. It's just, night and day. Do I think he can beat Spence? Nah, I don't think that Horn will beat Spence. I think Spence beats Horn, but I don't think it's a big margin either. You got to remember that Horn is a little bigger than Spence is, if I'm not mistaken. I think Horn is 5'10", and I think he's a little beefier than Spence is. But that doesn't mean everything. That don't mean really too much of nothing. First of all, I think Spence is the better fighter, so I think he'd win. Will he stop him? I don't know. I know the Errol crazies, the Errol freaks, they'll say that he stops him. No way, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's just because they're Errol Spence freaks. I don't think I think any critical piece that anyone has about Errol Spence, I think that they'll aggressively go against it, no matter what it is, even if it is true, even if it is exactly what happens fight night. I think they're blind to that. I think they're Errol Spence freaks, and that's all they really care about. That's all they really know. I think they got their favorite fighters in each weight class, but I think that they don't really know how to be boxing fans. You know what I'm saying? So most of them, can't say all of them. I'm not saying that anybody picking Spence is not a real boxing fan. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that your boxing eyes are kind of a little weird. But at the same time, your opinion is your opinion. So if you feel like he'll win, all I ask for is for you to break it down for me and tell me why. Because trying to diminish Crawford's abilities. And here's one more thing: when the fighters rated each other, Crawford's ratings for Errol Spence were much higher than Spence's ratings of Terrence Crawford. So that can mean many things. But from the perspective I was sitting at, what that means is that what it looks like is that Spence is taking Crawford a little lighter than he should, a lot lighter than he should be taking Crawford. If he's telling the truth, and since he is the truth, Errol Spence, it seemed like he was telling lies. But at the same time, I'm not to judge whether he's lying or not. I think that either way, that's a horrible assessment of a man that you're about to face in about a month, about 20 or 32 days, something like that. So I think it's foolish, but and Crawford's assessment of Spence was very high. He had an extremely high assessment of Spence. So he's taking it. He's being realistic about this. That's what that says to me. And he doesn't want to go in blind and half cocked. He wants to go in there prepared. So he's rating his opponent high so that he can train for somebody at a high level. That's a fighter. So that's impressive. Crawford has been impressive lately as far as any media piece on him. He's been respectful. He's been focused, and I like that. He seems ready and looks to be ready as far as weight goes. He looks to be on point. Errol Spence, a little behind on my expectations, and he's talking a lot. That's cool for the fans and the peripheral fans, and the guys who don't really pay attention. That's cool. That's good. Get a few laughs or whatever. That's entertainment. That's what he's supposed to do, sell the fight. That's wonderful. But his pieces are not really genuine. Like, you couldn't possibly think that much or that low of your person that you're about to face for the undisputed championship of the entire world of 147 pounds. And you'll be the first in history. So you can't tell me that you really are underrating your guy like this. It's not a smart move, man. Not a smart move. So that's my assessment of it. I just think a lot of the Errol Spence fans are biased. The people who are picking Errol Spence to win, a lot of those guys are just super fanatics of Errol Spence, and you can't tell them nothing about nothing. So it's disappointing to have to deal with these kind of fans, because you can't have a decent conversation. But you can't do no real boxing talk, because all they're gonna do is fanboy. That's all they're gonna do. Errol Spence is God to them, and they listen to it. Every time I see something, a video or a picture, or a meme or something like that, it is just ridiculously, unrealistically corny, and it's all super fanboy Errol Spence. I'm just like, come on, man. Like, this is supposed to be, and that's not because I think Crawford's going to win. Not at all. It's really because that is a ridiculous outlook on boxing. Like, that's not realistic. So, if you have to discredit the opponent, first of all, I want to tell all of them, that you are not Errol Spence, and you repeat everything he says like it's gold. If he says something, oh, the truth said it, and this is what's gonna happen. And he would anything that is critical of Errol Spence, you are going to say what Errol Spence says. You're not going to use your own brain, and you're not going to do that at all. You're just going to follow him blindly, like he's Jesus or something. That's a little weird to me. Yeah, I'm not believing in nobody like that besides myself. Now, for myself, I'm going to say, this is what I think of the situation. I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm not going to just repeat who said what. Like, even if it was my own brother, if somebody says, oh, so and so, he's not going to be able to do that job, right? Just keep it simple. He's not going to be able to do that job. Now, if I'm believing my brother, you see what I'm saying? I'm going to say, I believe he can do the job right. You know what I'm saying? Just give him a chance. But if someone says, well, last weekend, he was at this one job site and he mismeasured, and then it made all of the pavers crooked. And then I would say, okay, and if it's the truth, if I witnessed that and it's the truth, I would say, well, maybe he'll do better this time. Now, just because he's my brother, I'm not going to say, oh, you're stupid, you're fucked up, he don't do nothing wrong, he didn't do that wrong, he did that right. His excuse was, or what he said is that the other guy shadow was in the way, and that made him measure it wrong. And yeah, that's just too many excuses. Like the mouthpiece thing. I don't care if it was because of his teeth, were knocked out and he had to get dentures or whatever. You boil them bitches down and you put that shit in, and you ain't supposed to be worried about looking cute in front of fans anyway. Nigga, win the fucking fight. Period. Period. Win the fight. So if his mind is in that place, oh, he was just scared because his teeth got knocked out. It's an embarrassing situation. Man, so what, man? So what? Win the fight. Because I know Terrence is not going to allow that. He's not going to allow for you to go around looking for your mouthpiece. He's not going to do that. He's going to knock you out. Period. It's a different level. And to not see that Terrence Crawford is on a different level, that's a huge mistake, man. So I'll be saying that to anybody. I'm not partial. I'm not biased. I'll say that now. People are saying weird things about Errol Spence, which I see some every now and again. I see some people saying little weird things about Errol Spence that's completely untrue. It can't be true. And I'm just like, man, that don't even sound right. Don't lie on this man like that. Be realistic. You know what I'm saying? But I'll do the same thing on to think that people are so immature that they'll allow a fight, a boxing match, to split whole families in half and have them at each other's throats and cussing at each other and disagreeing and calling these people this and that and all. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Now, I agree with. I'll be honest and agree. And call me what you want to call me, but I'll be honest and agree. That I agree with majority of Terrence Crawford supporters because they're not so fanatical. They're not so unreasonable and rational. They're more rational. The majority of the Terrence Crawford fans and supporters and the people who pick him to win are not necessarily going crazy about people being critical of Crawford. They'll say, yeah, okay, well, I mean, they're more understanding and saying, okay, that's your opinion, that's cool, we'll see what happened fight night, right? Say that's something about weird about aerosexuals. Say something weird about Errol Spence, and it's on and popping. Oh my gosh, these guys are protecting like that's their husband, and I just think that's a weird thing to do. So, and another thing. A lot of these pictures that Errol Spence fans are putting up and this has been happening for years, but the pictures that they put up of this man walking around the gym and all that, man, it's a little suspect. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little suspect. Like, come on now, man. Come on now, dog. Come on, man. It's like, is this an underwear ad? Like, it's a little bit weird. It's still questionable, So, I would just say, if you don't want to be called any funny names or looked at weird, then refrain from putting up questionable, weird pictures of other men. I'm just saying. Now, if that's what you like and you like other men, more power to you. You go ahead and post all the man pictures. You won't half naked or posing in funny ways, or I don't get the best shot you possibly can get. But if that's not what your story is, then bro, I would honestly reconsider posting pictures like that, or even searching for pictures like that. Or you might want to go and try that thing out, and figure out if you're one way or the other. So, and that's just being honest. But man, being real, like, I think that aerosexuals, I think that term is, I think it's funny, and I think it's a applicable term to a lot of these fans who are so freakish when it comes to Errol Spence. I don't think it should make you mad if someone's critical of a boxer. You're supposed to be critical of boxers, and you're supposed to see what happens on fight night. Not get emotionally tied to them. And that's what little kids do. That's what we do when we're little kids. Get emotionally tied to, or a team that you are participating with. Now, if you are helping Errol Spence to win these fights, then I can definitely understand you being mad. that he loses for sure, for certain, you know. But boxing only boxing. All right, y'all. See you next time.